We're going there now. Mark Steven joins us, the voice of the Stampeders. And Mark, I didn't see you last week when I was in town, but you had your hands full with one of the wildest games at McMahon Stadium in a long time against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Didn't end the way you'd like, Mark, but now you head into a week off, huh?
More than a week off, actually, because they play on the 15th, that game that you mentioned, which was a crazy game. I got to say, if you were neutral and had no rooting interest, it was a fantastic game. And they don't play again until September the 2nd. And there's, because of the gap, first game of 1 week, last of another, some of the teams are going to play 3 games in between the Stampeders games. So could really shake up the standings there for sure.
It was a last-second walk-off field goal by Lewis Ward of the Red Blacks to win at Calgary on Thursday night. What did you think when Ward was lining that up? I've seen a lot of walk-offs in our day, and usually the Stamps come out on top in those ones. What was it like for you in the booth, Mark?
Well, he's a good kicker, so I guess I can't sit here and say I was completely shocked or anything like that. There was a wind earlier in the day, but it wasn't a factor when he got on the field. I mean, him going on there, he's, as I say, a very dependable kicker. It was his 3rd walk-off of this year, so he's done it before, and he did it again. And I can say, very good kicker. The Stampeders left the door just open ajar, just enough that he was able to get there and kick a 51-yarder, which is well within his range, but well short. I wouldn't call that a gimme or anything, but he did it, so good for him.
One thing I heard in Alberta after that game and then Edmonton's win at Hamilton is that sure made Labor Day weekend exciting. They're engaged in football in Alberta right now in the CFL, as you can tell.
Well, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, Edmonton has suddenly become a much more competitive team. They go to Montreal this week. I'm not sure how they'll fare there, but whatever. They're still very competitive. The whole division is extremely competitive. There's very little room between the teams. And the Stampeders at Edmonton play 3 times down the stretch here, so each is going to have a huge say in what the other team does this year because the Stampeders currently are just a game ahead of the Elks, and the Elks have the game on the weekend, and they meet September 2nd in Calgary.
The 2 wins, as you well know, separate 1st and 5th in the CFL West. I mean, every year people seem surprised when these crazy twists and turns happen. Here's another one. Chris Jones fired in Edmonton after an 0-5 start, resurfaces in Hamilton this week. Did you doubt for 1 second that Jones would be coaching again in the CFL?
Yes, but let me put it this way. As a position coach, I could kind of see it. I think his days of being a head coach and a manager are probably gone. But he, has a relationship with Scott Milanovich from a long time ago. They were in Toronto. They were in Montreal. So they have a history together. And the Alouettes, the Tiger Cats were struggling badly on defense, so they decided to make the move. But I don't think you'll see him again as a head coach and GM. But as a position coach, helping out, why not? He's got some, obviously, skills in that area. And let's see if he can turn Hamilton around because their defense is really struggling.
Speaking of struggling, how do you feel after all those years watching Bo Levi Mitchell and calling his games to see how things have turned out there? He's not starting this week. The decision's been made to go with Taylor Powell. What's it like watching that from your position?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty hard to, for all the reasons you said, that he's been, at or near the top of CFL quarterbacks for so long. It's clear there are some struggles there. He still does some good things at times, but he's not what he once was. And I guess Taylor Powell, is the guy now. I'm surprised, though, that, just weeks after a 5-touchdown game in Edmonton, that suddenly he's fallen so far out of favor. I was really shocked with that they seem to have soured on him so quickly, but I guess they have to make decisions, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats are trying to get back into the playoffs because obviously they're off to a really rough start.
It's funny. I was in Alberta with our baseball team, was playing the Okotoks Dogs in the league final, and it was awesome. We had 6,500 in Siemens Stadium for both games there. It was fantastic, but it's not like I didn't hear the Stampeders talk from the fans. I'm hearing pressure on the Stamps, and I'm wondering what you're hearing. Or if you're just used to it in the summertime because they don't usually turn it on to the second half or even the final third.
Yeah. No, there should be pressure. I totally get it. They're 4-6. They're certainly in the mix for a playoff spot, but they're far from secure of a playoff spot either. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything's going to go perfectly in the second half. And since they won in 2018, winning the Grey Cup, they haven't won a playoff game since. And they've got to qualify for the playoffs this year. Again, I certainly don't want to rule them out, but I can't rule them in either, given how topsy-turvy things are. They've got 3 games with Edmonton remaining, 2 with Saskatchewan, and 1 with BC. Those are their closest teams. They already have lost the tiebreaker to Winnipeg. So, they painted themselves into a bit of a troublesome spot. They got to find a way to win on the road and start stringing consecutive games together.
Is there something missing in your mind, or is this just a team that's still coming together?
Well, I don't know what if the word would be. Maybe, something. I guess I would say that throughout the course of the year, they've done the expected. They've got some good statistics, good things, but they haven't done the exceptional. Like, they aren't way up there and, making sensational pass and run plays. They don't have a touchdown, a non-offensive touchdown, i.e. a return touchdown or a, interception or fumble recovery or something like that. Just something that would shake it up. They've got a lot of good stats. So that's what I call the expected. They're right in there, but they got to do some exceptional things to turn games around. And, DeMario Houston, just as an example, has been a defensive back signing that's been everything they thought he was going to be. But, they don't have any touchdown returns. Other teams do. So I think, I think they've been okay. They've been good. They're in the middle of it, but they've got to start to do some, from time to time, some exceptional things.
I always like to finish my chats with you bringing up the Flames. The last few summers I've been out there, and I couldn't really get over the negativity, but I get it. I'm there this summer, and it's positive, at least amongst the hockey people. I was with Theo. If you know Theo, you love him. I'm sure you love him. He goes, this is exciting. Yep. Look at the Blue Jays with their young guys. It's exciting to see what they can do. Are you feeling the same aura of positivity around the club?
I would say I'm not feeling negativity. I know that's kind of splitting hairs here.
That's new.
I don't think there's wild enthusiasm for the team. I think there's an understanding and a recognition that they had to step back and do things a little differently. I think there's an understanding that they are a fairly long shot to make the playoffs, but I think there's an understanding that they had to turn the direction of the team around, integrate some youth, integrate some players from the American Hockey League, and they'll go through it this year. So I think they've got the fans on board, but I don't want to go as far as say that there's wild enthusiasm about the season, but there's certainly an understanding. But it is not negative and people bashing the team. That's fair.
Right. And I should clarify, too. The hockey people approve of where the Flames are going.
Yeah.
If that's
I think that's
positive,
more like it. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out type thing. But they like the direction.
Yeah.
Mark, thanks for the time as always, my friend. Hope to chat with you soon.
Okay, and back at it September 2nd for the Labor Day Classic.
All right, enjoy the rest of summer then. Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders from QR Calgary.